everyone, welcome back. This is our second video in which we are talking about the TOEFL IBT test. On this video, we are talking specifically about the writing session of the independent task. And on this video, we're going to talk more specifically about how to write the essay body. On our last class, we saw that the independent essay, which is the essay we are working with, works with three different types of questions. Those are the defense essay, in which you have to defend a topic, a situation, whatever. The comparison essay, in which you have to compare two similar or two opposing ideas. And the explanatory essay, in which you will have to explain about something. All of the three types of essays, as I mentioned on our last video, they require that you give your personal opinion, which is a very important requirement at the TOEFL IBT writing session. On our last class, we also discussed the necessity of pre-writing. What's pre-writing? It's planning before you write, thinking about the topics, thinking about the pros and the cons of every situation. Also, we discussed about the necessity of having logical arguments. As I said on the other video, everything can be considered logical, but you only have 30 minutes and 300 words on the TOEFL IBT. So it's easier if you start with a logical argument from the beginning. Something else that we discussed was the hook and thesis model, which we will review now. This is the same topic that I used on our last video, and we will use this topic throughout this video series. In general, people are living longer now. Discuss the causes of this phenomenon, use specific reasons and details to develop your essay. This is an introduction that I drafted, and as usual, we have a hook and we have a thesis. A hook, as I presume that you can see from the title, usually is the first part of an introductory essay, and the thesis is the last part of an introduction to an essay. What's the objective of the hook? Basically, the objective of the hook is to make people want to read your essay. On this particular one, the hook is this. Nowadays, the fact that people are living longer is well documented. The reasons for it, however, still encourage heavy debates in the scientific community. My objective with this hook was to sparkle the desire of the reader to finish reading what I will say. The reader will get the idea that I will talk about the debates that the scientific community that are generated in the scientific community about this. And the thesis, on the next few paragraphs, I will discuss how the age of technology in which we live in directly affects people's lifespan and how non-medical technologies also have their effects. The objective of the thesis is to provide a little preview for the reader as what I am going to discuss on the paragraphs, on the body of the essay. And talking about the body of the essay, I'm not talking about the guy's body that's over here. We have to analyze text organization first. All texts, they require an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. You cannot just write something willy-nilly, not caring, just do this, whatever. You have to have organization in what you are doing. And to illustrate this, I would like to use a tree as an example, the introduction of the essay can be analogous to the leaves. It's the first thing you look in the tree. It's the first thing you see. It's the most beautiful part of the tree. It gets your attention right on the beginning. So it's very important. The body can be analogous to the trunk of the tree, it's a very strong part. It's thicker than the leaves. It has more content. It's more solid, and it's what keeps the introduction afloat. If you don't have a very good body, you can have the most beautiful introduction in the world. It's not going to work. Talking a little bit more specifically about the body of the TOEFL essay. I'm not talking about specifically essays in the English language. I'm talking specifically about the TOEFL essay. It is 2 or 3 paragraphs long, and this is one very important thing. The paragraphs, they need to have a connection with the thesis. Remember the thesis that you created a little bit back? That you explain what you will discuss in the paragraphs? The paragraphs have to show the connection that you presented on the thesis. It's not just writing paragraphs. And it's very important that your paragraphs contain examples and arguments. You cannot just say, I think this is correct because I think so. No, you have to exemplify. I think this is correct because of something that happened to me, because of something that I have seen in my life, because of an experience that I have had. And as everything on the TOEFL, you must be clear and concise. If you present on your thesis the idea that you agree with the situation, you must agree with this situation throughout your essay. You have to be very, very careful not to change your mind during it. 2 things that we will analyze a little bit more aggressively on this video are the concepts of the topic sentences and the concepts of the signal words. The topic sentences, the first thing that we will discuss, they are usually the first sentence of a paragraph, and they're like a mini introduction to the paragraph. I abbreviate it. They're like a mini introduction to the paragraph. As the introduction does for the text, the topic sentence introduces the paragraph. I know what to expect right after the topic sentence. And as I mentioned, they must have a relation to the thesis. If you mention something on the thesis and you will discuss it on your paragraph, it's important that your topic sentence demonstrates this. And they are also important because they create introduction and body flow. They make an easier reading. I don't have to think so much, why is this person talking about this? Oh, it's because of what he mentioned before in the introduction. So it's very important. I'm going to show you guys some examples. Pay attention to this, please. As I presume you can recognize, this is the introduction that I created, that I showed you guys a little bit back. Here we have our hook, and here we have our thesis. For this particular essay, I decided to do 2 paragraphs. Why? On my thesis, I specifically mentioned 2 things. I mentioned the age of technology in which we live in. That's the first thing I mentioned. And I mentioned the non-medical technologies also. So, because I mentioned 2 things on my introduction, my text is going to have 2 paragraphs. If your introduction mentions 2 3, 4. It's not a rule, but it's a good idea to follow the number of paragraphs. If you don't want to make a 5-paragraph essay, it's important if you really think what's more relevant to the topic. Maybe I don't have to talk about this. Maybe I don't have to talk about that. Maybe I can give a bit more attention to this because it's more relevant to the discussion. This is the first topic sentence for the first paragraph. As mentioned before, the age of technology has affected the way we live and care for ourselves in several ways. It is a very simple sentence. It's no bells and whistles, not much to it, but I used a strategy that is very important. On my introduction, I used age of technology, quote unquote. It's important on the TOEFL that you are consistent, as I mentioned before. So you can see from this part here that I repeated that vocabulary. I used age of technology on my introduction, and I used it again on my topic sentence, as I said, to provide the reader with an easier understanding of what I'm talking about. Is right at the beginning of the paragraphs, so the person is going to talk about the age of technology. And the second topic sentence, I use the word similarly here to show that I'm kind of providing similar ideas. And again, I used the same vocabulary. I repeated the expression non-medical technologies. Plain and simple to simplify what I was doing. Another thing that I also did, you can see here on the second part of my introduction, on the second part of my thesis, I also used the word lifespan, which I repeated again on my topic sentence. As I said, the concise use of the vocabulary can mean a lot to you. The vocabulary will make the reader understand, make it easier for the reader to know what you are talking about. Moving on, I would like to propose a little exercise. Last class I asked you guys to write an introduction to that topic. I wrote mine and you wrote yours. So I'm going to ask you to prepare the topic sentences for the text that you will write based on the introduction that you have developed. If you're watching the video, please pause the video now and come back when you finish. I presume you're back now. Going on to signal words. Signal words they are known by many names. I call them signal words. Some people call them connectors. Some people call them linking words. But for me, they are signal words because they sign what's happening. They give you a direction to the sentence that is presented. Their main objective is to add flow to the essay, make it easier for you to navigate through the paragraphs. They connect all parts of it. They can be found in the introduction, in the body, in the conclusion, and they can be found in the beginning of a paragraph, in the middle of a paragraph, or in the end of a paragraph. Just showing you guys again what I did here. You can see that I have a signal word right over here on my hook. The word however, which was already highlighted, and I highlighted it again. The objective of the word however here is to create a little contrast. The reasons for it, however, still encourage heavy debates in the scientific community. And on my topic sentences, I also used a few. The first one, right on the beginning of my first paragraph, as mentioned before. Felipe, that's 3 words. I know, buddy. Yes, those are 3 words, but they serve the purpose. They give you the idea that this was mentioned before on the introduction. This was talked about already, so it's just a continuation of the ideas. And again, on my second paragraph, right in the beginning, I use the word similarly. Again, the objective of this is to provide a connection with the previous paragraph. I'm giving you an idea on the first one, and I'm giving you a similar idea on the second. So that's why it's important to use the signal words. They make the text so much better to read. They are very important. Again, a little exercise. You will find on the description of this video a list of words, a list of signal words. And there are 11 categories that you will see also on the file. I would like to ask you guys, try to match which word will go into each category. It's a simple exercise, but it will provide you so much to use on the test, and it's very, very important. Please pause the video now, do the exercise, and come back after you finished. Okay, we're back. If you continue to watch, I presume that you have done the exercise. The answers for the exercise can also be found on the description. The file is something answers exercise, something like that. For this last session, we're going to discuss a little bit deeper about what is a paragraph. You know what a paragraph is, but do you really know what a paragraph is? A paragraph usually is between 4 and 12 sentences. For me, 4 is too short and 12 is too long. So somewhere between 5 and 10 is a good number of sentences in a paragraph. The paragraph must contain the TS, or as I like to call it, the topic sentence, which we discussed before. Should be the first thing of the paragraph, cross my T. It's important that it contains an example. It can be a personal example about your life or not. That's really up to you. And this, you must have a reason for the example. Why are you mentioning this example? Why are you discussing about this? Maybe the order can be reversed. Maybe you can give me the reason first and the example later. That's your organization of the text, but both must be present. And a conclusion. Felipe, conclusions are only in the end of the text. Nobody. A conclusion must be in the end of every paragraph that you make. Just to close your ideas. If your topic sentence is an introduction to the paragraph, you must have a conclusion to it. Again, as an example, I used the same topic that we used before. I used the same introduction that I used before, and I wrote 2 paragraphs. As mentioned before, the age of technology has affected the way we live and care for ourselves in several ways. This was the first topic sentence that I made, so I presume you guys are already familiar with it, but I continued the topic sentence a little and greatly increased how much we live. And this sentence gives you a little introduction to what I'm going to discuss. The advances that came from newly found exams, tests, and operations caused the human life expectancy to become much higher. This, I kind of cheated on this session here. Why? Basically, I said the same thing the same thing that I said in the first sentence, but I rephrased it. I used different words. It makes the essay richer without having to kill yourself to find what to say. Continuing, to illustrate this, a situation that happened to my grandfather can be discussed. Remember that I said that it's important for us to give personal examples? Exactly what I did. A situation that happened to my grandfather. It doesn't get any more personal than this. He was diagnosed with a form of cancer in his urinary tract and usually would be given 6 to 12 months to live. Due to a new procedure that had been introduced a few years beforehand is a signal word. Okay? He was able to outlive the prospect by a good number of years. On my introduction, I mentioned the age of technology and affects people's lifespan. This is exactly what I discussed on my first paragraph here. I discussed how the exams, the tests, increased my grandfather's life and give him a few extra years to be with his family. This is something that the TOEFL graders are really looking for. If you can relate to the topic, if you can have your personal connections with it. My second paragraph. Similarly, non-medical technologies like the TV have also made their contributions to humans' longer lifespan. This was my topic sentence. And I mentioned on the introduction the non-medical technologies, which again I used here. Many of Brazil's TVs, radios, and other forms of media constantly promote educational campaigns and other forms of encouragement in their spaces, thus raising awareness among the population. Again, I try to use a personal example. I'm from Brazil, so I try to talk about Brazil specifically. This, again, is something that the graders for the TOEFL are looking for. Most noteworthy. I think you'll remember this was one of the words listed on the exercise as an importance signal word. I'm talking about something important with this, people. Most noteworthy are the recent efforts coming from my city's administration regarding the fight against the dengue fever carrier mosquito. Posters, TV and radio ads, and civil servants are being used in this campaign, which aims to lower the number of infectees and hence make people live longer. Hence, again, another signal word, similar to most noteworthy, but hence gives the idea of because of this or so make people live longer. Again, on this paragraph, I try to follow a very simple thing. I try to give personal examples again. I try to bring it closer to my reality as much as possible. I think I did it. Again, talking about Brazil and talking about my city's administration. And one interesting thing too, the efforts are somewhat recent. So it shows that I'm interested in what's happening. I'm not just a person living in the city. I just noticed that I misspelled dengue. It should be D-E-N-G-U-E. But, as I said on the previous video, evaluation is holistic for the TOEFL IBT writing session. So maybe I won't lose a point because of this misspelling, if the construction of the text is good. Guys, another exercise. On the last video, we wrote an introduction. On this video, we wrote the topic sentences based on this introduction, and we analyzed the use of signal words. Now, we're going to really expand the topic sentences that you created into full-blown paragraphs. as many paragraphs as you need based on as many topic sentences that you have. But it's very important, and I would really like you guys to use personal examples, as many personal examples as you can, and the signal words, which will make your text way easier to read, better and easier to read. Okay? Thank you for watching this class. This was my second video class. If you liked it, please like the video. Like the video here. Subscribe to the channel and email me if you want. If you have any questions, my email will be on the bottom too. Leave a comment, whatever. I'm always checking, I'm always available. I'm just not going to give you guys my phone number because... and thank you again for watching. Bye.